This video is intended to describe the crystalline composition of a light blade talisman named D-Light. To honor the name D-Light, I will start off the primary ignition blade band right here, consisting of sunstone and clear quartz to work as a neutral subcapacitator to accelerate the frequency of the sunstone main primary blade band. Sunstone is a very delightful frequency that has a nice stimulation to the sacrum and solar plexus. And yes, this is my crude chakra map I use for visual cue. This is a very beneficent fire energy that's very, very jovial and exuberant in energy nature. And you can think of it as an enlightened masculine archetypal energy that is very impeccable for the raising of vibration, particularly the stimulation of the solar plexus and sacrum in tandem as the primary focus, which is very fun energy. It has a very strong stimulation to the emotional body to turn judgment to joy, things of that nature, and just in a cornucopia of blessings, quite simply and succinctly. It has a very amazing stone of enthusiasm, exuberance, and also physical energy, and it has a very powerful sun energy connotation, hence the name sunstone. And so a potassium feldspar-based stone, so it has a very strong earthy grounding of that particular orange ray frequency right there. Few stones in the mineral kingdom can really boast such an impeccable orange ray sacral stimulation, which is a seat of joy and enthusiasm and creativity. And also a very powerful manifestation frequency, which many other subcomponents will really augment that manifestation capacity in one closed-loop circuit wearable device as a talisman. So that would be, of course, the primary blade band. Then going into the first lateral band of the transmutation ratio, like so, containing up here, then closing the circuit back over here to close this particular pathway of this energy framing with the rest of these guys installed, which of course will be notarized and also detailed in great explanation as the video's progression. The transmutation ratio, consisting of smoky quartz and hematite, makes a very powerful grounding of all excess energy through the root chakra into the earth stars, into the earth meridian matrix for reprocessing. So when you have like that certain filter going straight into transition right here, it makes a very powerful grounding of this energy, as well as a etheric shield that will make a very powerful insulation as well. So you can think of it as a layer of etheric Teflon, if you would, to make sure that any kind of energies coming through go through the filter of dispersing the ground, which rapidly grounds all excess energy, and also will bring any stray energies of this entire frequency broadcast of such an intensely complex device through the root into the earth stars to bring tangibility, grounding, and also purification. It's a triple win to have a strong ground point, and so that's why that's such a critical component to this device is the transmutation ratio, once again consisting of hematite, iron-based frequency metal, then smoky quartz, another purifier that grounds all energy. So the combination of these two is the best synchronized format for producing a very strong rapid grounding of this energy to also make any kind of manifestation potentiality more real, which of course is the point of practical theurgy or magic, so to speak. And then continuing up here to the apex band, to be the perfect antithesis to such a projective, lovely broadcasting stone, is the aspect of peridot and emerald, which is a very nice green ray receptivity to abundance. So you can think of this being more of like a projective manifestation positive, yang, while these aspects up here of the peridot, clear quartz, and emerald are the perfected receptive yin aspects for the heart chakra of high green ray concentration. Peridot is a very lovely stone of positivity, just little nuggets of positivity, quite frankly. It has a very nice stimulation of the third and fourth chakras, making a unification of the heart and will. In tandem with the emerald, which is the king of the green ray stones, hence its utilization by different matriarchal, patriarchal, royalty lines, is well notarized as being a royal stone because it is just about the most impeccable green ray heart chakra activator in the mineral kingdom of direct high heart abundance. In a more physical, pragmatic sense, it has a very strong green ray perfected heart output. So as the energy runs through the entire circuitry to this section right here, that actually will of course be in line with the chakra column when it's being worn, has the apex of the energy, which is where the necklace goes into, is the perfect antithesis complementary frequency to that delightful energy. Quite simply. Once again, honoring its archetypal name with the heavier concentration over here being of the extreme, fun, zest for life energy. So continuing on with the apex of this blade face down here, this would be fulgurite, which is petrified lightning. That is the result of lightning actually striking sand and carries the energy of lightning, which is very potent for the entire light body activation from the top up. So it is a very powerful Kundalini generator, as well as a very strong intensifier of the entire chakra column in a unified field. And to further augment the manifestation capacity, so since it has the power of lightning, the First Nation shamans would utilize lightning fulgurite to intensify their prayers to spirit. So with that terminated to this primary wire right here of the lightning, it also adds the intensification of manifestation, which is part of the goals of this delightful device as well. So quite the lovely stone. It's literally the power of lightning caught on stone, added through a submatrix, but not to fret. There's plenty of different transmuters, stabilizers, and balancers to get the most out of that without it being the power of lightning uncontained, quite simply, which I'll get further into in this video. Another further augmentation of a heavy dose of the sunstone is found right here in this exact format, which I already described in decent detail. Pardon me, got a frog in my throat. Its perfect cousin antitheses are also represented right here with labradorite and rainbow moonstone. So, rainbow moonstone is the perfected yin cousin to sunstone. Same kind of matrix of the feldspar based right here in the yin format, which is very, very advantageous for enlightened feminine energy in perfect continuity balance with the masculine energy. Then to take the trifecta of the masculine, feminine, then the shadow with labradorite, another cousin. So these three stones are, according to the course, including the sunstone blade band as well as sunstone, rainbow moonstone, and labradorite are actually cousins from the same family, just different variations, making different vibrations based on its atomical structure or mineral composition. Labradorite is actually a very powerful cousin to sunstone that is very magical and very, very potent for any kind of magical endeavors of a higher self matrix. So a quite mysterious stone in its own right. And in a more pragmatic aspect involved in this platform right here would also be a very powerful psychic shield, as well as having the wielder of this device in touch with their higher source resonant magical blueprint. And more importantly, it also is another way of kind of transcending the veil of consciousness to intensify the magic of manifestations, which are the intention of this delightful device. So that would be the trinity of these guys explained. Then next up here is Libyan gold tektite, a lesser known golden ray cousin to the famed moldavite. Libyan gold tektite was utilized by the pharaohic caste for their power breastplates, and of course were known as the sorcerer kings of that timeline. And this stone was utilized and sought out for a very good reason. It has a very intense cosmic yield of fire energy that strongly stimulates the solar plexus and the sacrum, much like the composition of the sunstone. Yet it has a storm overtone that actually has an entire illuminated field that actually activates all the chakra column in tandem, with fire being the primary center focus point. So that's another very powerful stone for manifestation. And very complementary to the green ray stone moldavite, the quite infamous little crystalline being right here in this timeline. Moldavite is a very powerful green ray storm elemental cosmic aligner to one's higher self blueprint. So the aspect of moldavite being rather notorious in this timeline is for the aspect of it dramatically aligns the heart chakra to its higher source configuration. So the entire false self matrix of the template of the wielder of moldavite will be put through the alchemical crucible, so to speak, and would be rapidly expedited any kind of necessary growths under this particular frequency filter that can be rather chaotic and rather volatile in their rebirth to their higher spiritual configuration. So, that being said, one of the big goals of utilizing a moldavite piece is getting the most out of that cosmic attunement alignment, yet It is very well mitigated with all the transmutation and stabilization ratios that are involved in this closed-loop complicated circuit, which I, of course, will get more into, which will make more sense as the video goes on. That's a little disclaimer of getting the most out of the cosmic power moldavite while having a very well contained energy to ensure that all the rapid changes that occur from the moldavite frequency have a strong contact patch into the Earth Meridian matrix reprocessing and a stabilization of the elemental spectrums to get the most out of it. That's a very critical aspect of utilization of moldavite and light tech in general, is get the most out of that cosmic alignment without all the chaotic dross, and to mitigate any kind of undesired chaotic events from having such a big shift of energy when moldavite is ungoverned, so to speak. This right here is lovely red ruby. Ruby, of course, just like emerald, is a stone of antiquity well notarized in the use of magic in human morphic field consciousness, and for a very good reason. Its red ray potency exceeds anything in the mineral kingdom from root chakra activation. Since it's a corundum-based, oftentimes 9 out of 10 hardness in the rock scale, it has a very dense atomical frequency of the red ray. So there's basically no stone can surpass the sheer stimulation power that of the red ray enlightened ruby can produce, which is the root chakra's ideal configuration. So, in tandem with everything else, of course, that brings a lot more delightful, exuberant, passion for life energy throughout the entire broadcast. Hence, its placement right above these sections of the living gold tektite moldavite, having the red being the trifecta, really makes a very intensive grounding of this energy further, as well as more back to the intentional archetypal name of this device to make a very delightful energy, to make a very strong pathway right here just for this guy, to really invigorate the base chakra for all this delightful energy. Okay, on the other side, to really soothe out and be another counterbalance, perfect antithesis to such an enthusiastic generating exuberant device, is this lovely piece of seraphinite. Seraphinite, as can be seen, is a green ray stone named after the archangels or the seraphim, the seraphic realm. So its green ray concentration, of course, stimulates the heart primarily first, but actually has an entire chakra activation subroutine, which of course activates every single chakra to its perfect balance. And most importantly about this frequency right here, it's the most powerful dismantler of any kind of energies of dis-ease that would cause any kind of light body impediments, aka physical ailments, so to speak, from the energetic level. So in this timeline, this is one of the more powerful healer stones. So having this being a very soothing and also a very flowing energy, as well as it builds a lot of elasticity through the entire emotional body spectrum for a very serene, calm, soothed energy, which also works as a very nice Kundalini activator and another light body healer, and also dismantler of any kind of auto patterns that are compromising the wielder of this device's health or anybody under their jurisdiction or service, quite simply. So that would be seraphinite, a very, very amazing stone in this timeline. Next up here is turquoise. Turquoise, of course, is a great stone of antiquity as well, utilized by many nations across Europe, Asia, as well as First Nation tribes. This is one of the few universally utilized frequencies before the period of contact in the modern age we find ourselves in, and was utilized by First Nations for the aspect of it being an ancient grandfather ally to be a stone of wholeness. And its utilization in Mongol and Turkey, since turquoise, of course, got its name, as well as Egypt. So this stone has great notoriety and a special place in humanity's morphic field as well. And it just definitely deserves that, in my opinion, based on the fact that it takes all the elemental spectrums of earth, fire, water, and wind with a fifth chakra, fifth ray focus. So it's very much a stone of wholeness and full pranic energy, as well as good physical energy, and one of the more amazing stones in the Mineral Kingdom. That's why it's a fan favorite of thousands and millions of people over the years and decades and centuries and millennia, for a very good reason. Another stone of antiquity, another fan favorite for millennia, is lapis lazuli, to be the perfect complementary fifth ray tandem. Lapis lazuli was, of course, utilized by the ancient Egyptian mystery school caste of the priesthood or priestesshood of the ancient Egyptian mystery schools, and has a very powerful connotation of the connection to Isis. That was a stone that was utilized by ancient Egypt to recognize that certain frequency archetype. Lapis lazuli has a lovely simulation of the 5th and 6th chakras, which is a very nice segue bridge to the truth and the higher wisdom of the candidate. So lapis, of course, is a very insightful stone and a stone of royal virtues to keep one in alignment with their absolute soul wisdom. And it was a very powerful stone for any kind of past life regressions and any aspect of higher psychic activations of the higher third eye activated, put it quite simply. And to further augment that trinity right here is the lovely scoicite. Scoicite is a lovely white ray stone of divinity that has a strong connection to the 6th, 7th, and non-physical chakras. So that's a very lovely divine peace, unified field energy generator, to put it simply. And having that connection to the higher self template of the witness self is very advantageous to be in a very delightful state. Okay. Moving on to the section where this right here actually will have a white leather hood installed, which will serve as a insulation, a color therapy buffer, as well as physical protection for the subtle stones wire wrapped in great detail underneath where the hood will be. And also white carries the entire electromagnetic spectrum of the 7 rays, so to speak, of a unified field. So having the white on here will be rather delightful and very complementary to the frequency goal of this device before it goes into distribution. I will start off with the agates and jaspers primarily to keep one tangent of thought of their structured intention being very critical in the success of this device as far as I'm concerned. Starting off with red jasper right here. Red jasper is the most stabilizing variant of the red ray in the mineral kingdom. So that aspect of having a stabilized root chakra is a very delightful sensation itself. And red jasper is very good for physical strength, as well as just, most importantly, keeping the base chakra stabilized and very comfortable in that aspect. So next in the agate and jasper routine, I will discuss blue lace agate. A perfect complementary balance to the red ray stabilized is the blue ray stabilized of blue lace agate, which is the most stabilizing variant in the mineral kingdom to stabilize the 5th chakra. Obviously, the advantageous nature of being able to speak clearly is rather important in this life as a human, so that is perhaps one of the more impeccable stones in the mineral kingdom to really stabilize the 5th chakra, in tandem, of course, with these guys mentioned previously or other 5th chakra stimulants. So to stabilize that energy is very essential of the 5th chakra. Then to further stabilize the aspect, also this is a water elemental stone. This will be more relevant later as I describe the rest of the agates and jaspers and their critical role in this construct. Next right here is moss green agate. Moss green agate is a green ray water elemental stabilizer of the heart chakra. Then that'd be earth, water, then back here is fire. This would be fire agate. Fire agate stabilizes the base, sacrum, and solar plexus in tandem. And is very much the jovial, in the zest for life, in the body experience in one stone in a more stabilized format. Then over here is the very rare and lovely holly blue agate. This only comes from one mine in northern Oregon. So I'm very fortuitous to have great access to this one particular frequency because it is relatively rare in this timeline. But holly blue agate is a purple agate which stabilizes the 6th and 7th chakras. So thereby having the containment frequency of earth, fire, water, and wind, this generates a diffusing buffer of the stabilization of the 4 elements in the entire chakra column spectrum of earth, fire, water, and wind. Thereby, having that stabilized full continuity of this entire elemental spectrum run through this circuitry before it completes the circuit to stabilize the overture is very advantageous for practicality of a good quality of life, quite simply. Having stability in all aspects is critical, and that's very much a source of balance, which is very advantageous to have in this timeline of this wild world we find ourselves incarnated in. Okay. So that'd be the agate and jasper digression. This right here is another aspect of ruby and zoisite. So that's ruby straight to be a very strong representation of that frequency. And to further bring in the exuberance of this device is ruby and zoisite. So I described ruby already, but ruby and zoisite takes the aspect of the red ray power of ruby, combines it with green zoisite, which is a very powerful heart-mind coherence activator. So when you take the trifecta of that enthusiastic red ray intensity, then with the true heart-mind coherence of one's true blueprint, it makes a very powerful synergistic transformative alchemical energy to one's highest truth with gusto. Most important, with delight and enthusiasm because of red ray stimulation. But being in the heart's mind aspect is perhaps one of the primary goals of anything that's of a spiritual nature or a mission, if you would. So that guy answers that aspect pretty nicely. Moving into this guy right here, this is pink kunzite. Pink kunzite is a lovely pink ray higher heart activator, as well as it being a lithium-based frequency, which it makes a very calming, soothing frequency, which, of course, with all this exuberance going on, having certain contingencies to balance out the frequency pitch while in play and vibratory output is critical as well. So pink kunzite is a very powerful heart activator and a very soothing divine love alignment frequency, which in itself is self-evidently amazing. Okay, and moving on. Okay, so back here, this is the lovely black shungite. Shungite is a stone very much in vogue right now due to its notoriety to mitigate EMF 5G waves that would produce harm to the subtle DNA of the body, manifesting as another problem humanity has to face these days, quite simply. So, of course, that contingency is the answer to that aspect in a subtle format by having it in part of the closed-loop circuit subroutine. So shungite is a black gray carbon-based frequency that works very much like a charcoal filter throughout the entire system. And once again, takes any kind of negative energy and then grounds it right into the earth meridian matrix for reprocessing. So it also makes another aspect of the etheric shielding of this device production. And up here, right next to the shungite, is actually serpentine. Serpentine is a very common humble stone, but also a very powerful kundalini activator as well, and any kind of cellular respiration perfector. Very simple, but very amazing to use in a small dose in this construct. Then right here is Larimar. Larimar is a lovely blue ray stone of extreme soothing of the 5th and 6th chakras to make a very powerful oasis of calm and truth of one's centers and have that calm be the aspect of filtration that is being perceived throughout reality, so to speak. So it brings a very calming, soothing frequency 5th chakra stimulation. And this right here is black tektite. Black tektite is actually the result of oftentimes a nickel iron meteorite impacting sand, carrying that extraterrestrial cosmic jolt entering the earth plane, usually in the Philippines or China, oftentimes where localities like this come from, that will carry that energy of that cosmic jolt manifest just like fulgurite of that extraterrestrial impact. Which means it's a black gray stone, which kind of looks like an obsidian. And since it's a black gray stone, it's a ground-up light body activator carrying that extraterrestrial cosmic energy throughout the entire chakra column. So it's a very powerful kundalini activator as well as the entire, but what's very nice about the black gray aspect is that it has the ground-up intensification. So it actually has a very fortifying energy throughout the entire energy field from the ground up to have a higher vibration throughout the entire broadband of this construct. Okay, making pretty good progressive time here on this device. So this right here would be the main engine technically of golden healer quartz. Golden healer quartz is a very powerful stone of the gold white light Christ frequency emanation, or the high heart activation connection to source or spirit. So having that aspect of that source connection throughout this entire subroutine is very advantageous in that aspect of having that direct connection to creation being one of the highlighted focuses of this entire delightful device. So going back here, I saved this for last intentionally, is the selenite combination. Now that I described the rest of the entire crystalline composition, this is where these guys become very relevant. selenite can actually take an entire frequency group, since they're wire wrapped to the selenite. It can take an entire frequency group, it can amplify, harmonize, and purify the entire algorithm or ratio, which is part and parcel for a very successful light tech device. So the selenite by itself is a very powerful 6th, 7th, and non-physical chakra higher self aligner or activator. It can really clear the debris of any kind of electromagnetic interference that be impeding one's perception in tandem with their higher self matrix. And selenite, of course, would pull any densities and transmute any densities into positivity, because it's such a very powerful white ray stone of purification in that regard. So I digress back to the aspect where I first mentioned about selenite being a very powerful harmonization of all frequencies mentioned thus far, a purification of all the frequencies so far, and an amplification. That trifecta by itself is tremendously impressive and amazing to discuss in great detail, because that's what's a very critical aspect of a light tech device as well. So it's also produces very much a self-purification ratio inside a contact environment. And to further get the transferability out of this closed loop circuit out into a very practical manner is the utilization of black, green, orange, and blue kyanites. So the kyanite spectrums of the easily available to me of the 4 spectrums rapidly transfer energies in all aspects. So you can think of that as another layer of etheric Teflon to make any kind of densities or incoming energies have a constant ground diffuse, so nothing can really stick to the field that's of lower density. What that applies to the internal, external aspects of the internal aura, which of course is the mental body of the ego-mind identity or electromagnetic interference that can impede one's natural higher spiritual self, and would also work as a very powerful diffuser for any kind of energy to make constant bridges. And a more practical aspect to it's very important to discuss about the kyanites in general is also works as a fantastic stone of diplomacy. So you can think of the aspect too of the wielder's device operational in the field, and then another disparate energy of another human, which we're playing out the divisitory nature of characters, for example. So let's say the wielder of this device is wearing this and has a certain emanation field, then comes in contact with a perhaps not divisitory, or maybe not really in opposition, but I guess a different frequency that'd be hard to gap. The kyanites rapidly fill in the gaps of any kind of dissonance or blockages between two energy sources very quickly, so it works a very harmonious diplomatic energy to find common ground or meet in the middle, so to speak. So that aspect is very, very useful, and I feel like I probably do not do that enough justice in other videos describing the kyanites and their diplomatic capacity and practicality of real-world living, quite simply. And of course, they're next to the selenites to basically have the selenite run the neutral charge to get the most out of this bridging and gapping. So the black kyanite makes a very powerful bridging of the base into the earth stars very quickly, so it's very reactive. Green kyanite makes a very quick bridging of heart chakra in all directions, of course, but most importantly, of keeping it clean in the higher self spectrum alignment of one's team or spirit guides or sponsorship. Orange kyanite is very rapid for bridging the sacrum to its highest configuration, which is the source of one's creativity and also manifestation, which of course goes lovely in tandem with the sunstone being the main primary blade band of that lovely, delightful energy. Then blue kyanite is very powerful neural pathway recalibration, or gateway pathways being stitched to the awakened third eye, the left and right hemispheres. And the 4 of them combined makes a very powerful diffuser shield. So there's a lot of aspects of this device that make a psychic shield, so to speak, or etheric Teflon further and further. And they all work in harmony to be a very delightful device. And the main core of this is cedar wood from my backyard, right there. And that's a cedar tree. And that would be the main core. It may have a little less dense atomical frequency opposed to oak. So cedar is also a very quick frequency compared to oak, for example. It's a less dense frequency. So it makes a very good platform to have a jovial, higher frequency kind of excitement energy, is cedar in this case. Okay, I believe that would be the entire crystalline composition represented, notarized, and described. So in summary, The intention of this delightful device is to keep the wielder of this device in their delightful sphere by having a very intense energy augmentation and many different shields and filters, of course, to protect one's enthusiasm, protect their delight, and to further impact that delight onto their spaces, places, and beings under their jurisdiction. So you can also think of the aspect mentioned of the Kyanites of this being worn by the wielder to be a very transferable program through a space, place, or person under their jurisdiction of service. That's one of the big advantages too of this light tech, is being able to transfer this energy to light up a room, quite literally. Like with this kind of solar, sun, fun energy, this could quite literally be a very energetic boon to just light up a room with very good, delightful vibes, which is the intended goal of this crystalline operating system in one circuit, particularly this ignition order. Well, that'd be the conclusion to this delightful video. 1,000 blessings, and may the force be with us.